Hey gang, welcome to Nicked Uber Max. This is the introduction to a video series that is basically going to look at a parts bike that I got and what happens to the parts bike. I'm going to be stripping it down completely, down to the wiring harness and taking it completely apart, showing you some of the steps along the way, and then at the very end I'm going to show you what's inside the engine and transmission on these early R1200 BMW motorcycles. I'm going to give you a tour of the bike here in a minute, and we're going to ask George a couple of questions about parts bikes to give you a little bit of a clue as to what you might need to look for in a parts bike. And it's probably going to be a while before the next video in the series comes out, so this is really just an introduction, and I hope you enjoy the series and learn a lot from it, because I know I'm certainly am going to. So well, let's start with a couple of questions for George. First of all, everybody say hi, George. This is George.
Hello.
George from Gridlock Motors, my mentor when it comes to motorcycle stuff, and we're going to ask him questions about the parts bikes. And the first question is going to be, hey George, what's your opinion of parts bikes in general?
Parts bikes are a gamble at best. That's it.
End of opinion.
End of
There you
opinion.
go. Question number 2, what makes a good parts bike?
A good parts bike is all dependent on what you need out of it. If you need body work, one that's laid down is not a good buy. If you need engine work, one with a blown motor, again, not a good buy. You have to be very specific as to what you need, and that will determine what bike you buy.
How do you, as a consumer, decide what a parts bike is worth?
As a mechanic or a breaker, if you want to use the term that people do for people who take bikes apart, a lot of that depends on if I have a specific need for a part or a group of parts before I'll purchase a bike. In this case, I had a customer, Wes, who needed the parts specifically off of this bike that would have cost more than the cost of this bike. So it made sense to buy the whole bike, and now we'll have a series of videos of us taking apart the bike.
What's the best way to get your money back out of it?
The best way to get your money out of a parts bike is probably not buy the parts bike, unless you have a specific need for a part from that vehicle. If you're trying to buy a parts bike just to buy it, part it out, and make money, and you don't need any parts, it's very difficult. The cost of parts bikes is continually on the rise, and the value of the used parts is always dropping. If you can't get rid of major components quickly, you will never make your money out of it. Parts bikes take up a lot of space, a lot of time. You've got to list them, ship them, pay fees. It's a very tricky endeavor. That's why it's a gamble at best.
Thank you very much, George. Appreciate your honesty and opinions.
Anytime.
So
and if you have a broken bike,
You can
contact us.
Let us know.
We might buy it, but we won't pay a lot. But at least it's not in your garage anymore.
That's right. Good point. Say goodbye, George.
Goodbye.
So now that we've heard from George, we're going to wrap this up. I'm going to give you a little tour around the bike. That'll be in another piece. You'll see that here in a second. Here we are with the parts bike. This is the tour. You can see there's a couple of pieces removed already, just the seats really. And it doesn't look so bad from this side, but this is actually a wrecked bike. So let's go around, and you got good rear wheel. This thing here is the mount for the side cases. That's going to be the first thing that goes. Some luggage already on it. Evap canister is still in place. There's no fuse box. Looks like some wiring modifications. Battery. Side covers look good on this side. Cylinders look good on this side. Tank bag. I won't need that. All the hand controls and things look good. No scratches or dings up here. Dash looks good. What's this thing? Some kind of, that's a USB charger. Little accessory dash mount there. Let's see if the battery's completely dead at this point. RAM mount for a phone. Aftermarket windshield. These are the stock hand guards. Now we start to get into where the damage is. You can't really tell, but the front wheel is wrecked. That tire won't hold air anymore. Tires look good though. And now you can see where the insurance adjusters have done their work. All of those little yellow tags are places where they found damage. See the wing on the windshield here is snapped off. No problem there. Lights scratched, scratches, dings, all sorts of scratches. That crash bar is wasted. That's okay, we'll pull those off and those will go to the scrap recycler. Cylinder looks good though. Fuel injector assembly's good. Foot peg's marked, but it looks good. You see some good damage here. Scratches and whatnot, but some parts that are still going to be useful to somebody. Now it looks like the swing arm's damaged. That's actually not damaged. I already sold the final drive, and that's just a busted final drive that is sitting on there in place to make sure the bike can roll. And same with the rear shock. And the front shock's going to the same guy that got the rear shock. He just needed the rear shock first, and I haven't taken the rest of the bike apart. So the first thing that's going to come off is that rear rack, so that I can sell the side cases. Nice, real nice side cases that'll go. Although it looks like there might be a piece missing. No, there's nothing there. So it looks like a little rubber piece might be not symmetrical. So we'll see how that mounts up. I'll check that out before I pull it off of there. And there we go. That's the parts bike. Thanks for joining Nicked Uber Max for the parts bike breakdown series that starts with this introductory video.